Hello, urbanizers. A very warm welcome and a happy new year with a lot of achievements and hopefully more sustainable and livable cities for this year. I am Mihai, part of the Urbanize Hub team, and I will be your host for today. We're kicking off another round of online urban talks in which we'll discuss with various guests about projects, ideas, and initiative on the topic of green cities. We'll answer questions such as what makes up a green city? What are policy instruments that guide us in the transition to green cities? What are opportunities and challenges that we can identify for European and Romanian ones in particular cities in this regard? And what kind of good case practices and what impactful projects are out there? And these are questions that we will answer together with international and national experts, business leader, public administration officials, academia, and NGOs for you, the audience. Don't be shy, hit up the keyboard, ask us questions, and we'll do our best effort to answer them all. And today, as a kickoff for a short and sweet round, we're very happy to have with us Karen Naciph Mora. And she will tell us a few words about a very interesting initiative, especially public administration officials. Pay attention to what she has to say. Who is Karen? Karen is an officer working with the European Secretariat of ICLEI, Local Governments for Sustainability in Freiburg, Germany. And she's currently mainly supporting the Green City Accord that is implemented together with Eurocities and the Council of European Municipalities and Regions on behalf of the European Commission. Karen has a background in environmental engineering, environmental management, and water resources, previously working in environmental consultancy, providing advice and assessing environmental sustainability for clients in both the private and the public sector. So what better person to actually introduce us on the topic of green cities. Karen, thank you very much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you here. And before we start talking more about the Green City Accord, I have a question for you. It's an Urbanize Hub icebreaker, right? Very much adapted to the topic of today. What is your vision of a green city, and how does the ideal green city look for you? Enough talking from my side, and the scene is yours, Karen.
Thank you, Mihai, for the invitation. And regarding your question, first of all, I would like to say that this concept of green city may seem more related to only vegetation, green spaces, design inside the cities, and nature and biodiversity spaces. But I think that this is a concept that should be considering sustainability in a broader sense. So I see that there are two main components on it. The first one would be related to resource consumption and energy use, and the other component more towards the environmental quality aspect in terms of resource use. First of all, it would be the consumption of resources per se, but also in terms of waste generation, recycling and reuse of previous use resources in order to recuperate them and to be able to extend the life cycle. And in terms of renewable energy, it would be renewable sources and also energy use. In a more broader sense, in the environmental quality aspect, it would be more regarding pollution and the conservation of resources in terms of air quality, water quality, soil, and also nature and biodiversity in this regard, as all these components are related. And mainly, I think that a green city should be able to maintain these two components in order to guarantee the health and the quality of life of all its citizens, to also incorporate this more social area of the topic. And of course, to make it more sustainable in time, so that you don't have a green city only for this moment, but you're able to keep it going throughout time.
Okay, thank you very much, Karen. Great description. And now we're actually coming to the core topic of today, right? The Green City Accord, right? A very interesting initiative that we found out while we're discussing together, and we said, okay, let's give it a shot. Let's present it to our audience, right? Because we do have quite some mayors actually tuning into today and in our audience generally. It's an initiative on a European level, and Karen, you can tell us more about it. What is it? How did it come together? Why should cities join it? Why should maybe other stakeholders rather than cities join it? And what are the call to actions that you currently have going on?
Yeah, of course. We're sharing now a small presentation on the topic. Okay, I can change the slides. Perfect. So first of all, what is the Green City Accord? The Green City Accord is a movement of cities that are committed to ensure greener, cleaner, and healthier urban environments. Something that I was mentioning previously as part of the concept of a green city. This initiative was launched by the European Commission in 2020. And the idea is to have political leadership, a joint vision, and a bottom-up participation from the citizens to develop this concept of a greener city. Also, as I mentioned, the environmental quality aspect. The Green City Accord invites cities to take actions into 5 different environmental management areas to achieve goals by 2030 that are more ambitious goals than what is required by the European level legislation. And the idea of implementing the Green City Accord is to accelerate the implementation of European environmental laws and initiatives, such as the European Green Deal and the Zero Pollution Action Plan. As I mentioned, the GCA focuses on 5 different areas that are air quality, water quality, nature and biodiversity, waste and circular economy, and noise. And the idea is to have a more integrative approach regarding environmental quality into these 5 topics. As part of the accord, there are a set of indicators that have been developed for each of these areas in order to allow cities to be able to monitor and to report on their progress towards the goals that they will be setting up in all these five focus areas. Currently, as part of the accord, we have 101 signatories that belong to 18 member states. As well, we also have our fair share of Romanian cities. Among the cities that we have, we can mention Cluj-Napoca, Alba Iulia, Bistrita, Galați, Roman, and Tulcea. So, why a Green City Accord? What is the importance of it? So currently, there is a lot going on in terms of environmental challenges throughout Europe and throughout the world, of course. And there have been a set of environmental policies and legislation that have come up as a result of these challenges to try to face them. And most of this legislation goes to the member state level. However, there is an importance of mobilizing cities to take environmental action, to tackle all these challenges in a more effective way, as cities are the ones that can implement actions more directly, and they can also mobilize the citizens in a more effective way in terms of education, to understand what are the challenges, what are the actions, and what are the impacts of their actions, but also in the sense of actually implementing these actions, taking control, and also to participate in the development of strategies and planning to actually create the quality of life that they would like to enjoy inside the cities. Of course, urban areas concentrate more of the population. 70% of the population is estimated to be in urban areas. And as the population concentrates in these urban areas, the environmental challenges that they face are bigger. They can pose risks to health and well-being, as these different environmental components can have different effects. For example, in terms of air pollution, it is expected that 300,000 premature deaths in Europe are caused by air pollution only. So it is a very important topic to take care of. And also, through the implementation of an initiative such as the Green City Accord, there is the possibility to improve environmental quality. And this also plays a role into building more resilient cities, not only in terms of environmental quality, but also establishing this link with climate mitigation and climate adaptation at the same time. So the vision of the Accord as itself, there is a common vision for an urban future by 2030, that cities will be more attractive places to live and that will promote the citizens' health and well-being, that citizens will be able to breathe clean air, enjoy clean water, have access to green spaces, and to experience less environmental noise in order to have a more integrative well-being, and also to implement circular economy, to reduce waste generation, to actually use waste as resources for reuse, repair, recycling, and be able to extend its life cycle. So why cities should join? Mainly, one of the main ideas would be that cities can contribute to shape the European Union environmental policy and to become part of a community of like-minded cities, that they will be able to work together with other cities that are facing the same challenges, that are also developing solutions, and to actually learn a bit from each other, to work together towards the same goal. Also, they can gain Europe-wide visibility of the city's environmental actions and achievements, and also benchmark these city achievements against the progress with other cities. There are also opportunities of EU funding that can be accessed by cities to implement the different actions that they're going to be implementing to reach their goals. And there's tailored guidance and support via a dedicated help desk from the initiative, as well as networking events and technical workshops, capacity building opportunities, and so on. Now, we also, we not only target cities per se, but we also have Green City Accord supporters. These supporters are organizations that are interested in promoting the GCA, or that can support the signatory cities in the implementation of the commitments. The idea is that since these environmental challenges and this topic is of such urgency, we not only need to focus on the cities and generate this network of cities, but also get the collaboration from other organizations that can provide their support to the cities and to the initiative itself. For example, among the supporters that we have, there are associations of cities, regional and national authorities, environmental agencies, NGOs, scientific institutions, internal organizations, and so on. Currently, our network has 29 support organizations that cover the different 5 areas of the Green City Accord. The 2 main roles that we see for supporters are the first one, to support the cities in the implementation of different actions across the different areas through their technical guidance. As a concrete example, we have the University of Bologna that it's participating with the municipality of Cesena. They are helping them to go through the indicators of the Green City Accord and to develop the monitoring and the reporting component of it. As well, there is Babel Smart Cities, that it's another organization that has also offered to provide a kind of mapping of the current environmental conditions of cities and to provide them some kind of consultancy on how these cities can improve after this initial mapping. The other important role that we see is the spreading of the word of the GCA to promote the initiative, which in kind of events as the ones that we are doing now. As you know, Mihai, we have also invited Urbanize Hub to become a supporter of the Green City Accord, so that we can have more collaborative events such as this one to spread a bit the word on the initiative and let other Romanian cities know more about what opportunities there are. So how to join the Accord? There are mainly 4 steps on it. The first one is the signature of the Accord. The local council would endorse the Green City Accord and the mayor will sign it. After this, cities will define their baseline in the 5 areas that are analyzed, setting their current conditions and agreeing on what their own ambitious targets for 2030 would be like. Then, based on these targets that they have set, they would start acting, integrate and participatory planning and implementation of the actions that they will need to reach their objectives. And finally, there is a monitoring and reporting component to keep a continuous monitoring of the 5 areas to see if they are making progress towards their objectives, and some light reporting component. So this is the contact information of the Green City Accord. You can always contact us through this email address through our help desk. And there is also the web page that it's greencityaccord.eu, where you can also get more information on the initiative.
All right. Thank you very much, Karen. That was a very nice and short and concise presentation. Why are we choosing generally to promote this kind of initiatives and this kind of accords? And I think it's very important for us because, green cities are a core component of sustainable cities, right? And what from my experience as well, and from our experience, what we generally see is that we see in a lot of countries in Europe, right? We see different stakeholders, different cities going aiming for the same goals, for the same objectives, putting the effort into that. But a lot of times they don't know about each other or about initiatives, about good case practices. And in our experience, contrary to the laws of mathematics, 1 + 1, a lot of times in the field of sustainable urban planning and development, 1 + 1 actually equals 3, doesn't equal 2, right? Together, usually, they go, you go way further. You find out about good initiatives from the others, and that's why we believe that the Green City Accord is actually a very nice initiative to join, right? And one that offers exposure and also offers know-how, right? Because a lot of administrations they do require the know-how, I think. Tell me, Karen, from your position as an ICLEI expert and the person that has the overview on, let's say, sustainable green city transition processes throughout Europe, because it's also interesting to discuss a bit more, to get into the nitty-gritty details of it. What are opportunities, challenges that you foresee for European and also Romanian cities? Because from what I saw, it's actually a very, very curious thing. The last time I checked, there were 100 signatory cities, and now there are 101. And from what I see, Tulcea is actually there on the list. Is it the 101st? Do you know about it? I think so.
No, the 101st is Arus.
Okay. In Denmark. Okay, but it's very nice that we have Romanian cities joining, since the last time we talked. But what do you think are opportunities and challenges for these cities, for the European and particularly Romanian cities, in their transition process towards green cities? Something that you can think about.
Yeah. In general, I would say that one of the main opportunities and challenges at the same time is that there is this view of different environmental topics, environmental quality, climate change, climate mitigation, climate adaptation. And also there are a lot of initiatives that are covering different topics at the same time. So this it could pose a problem in case that it is seen as a separate kind of field of action. But if cities take a more integrative way, they could get more out of their actions. It can become way more effective to actually implement actions that go across all these different fields. Normally, when we talk about integration, in general, it is more seen as the integration of the different environmental components in terms of water, air quality, nature and biodiversity, and we only see the link between these. But in general, it would be better if we see this link into an even broader spectrum of it, taking also these other climate adaptation and mitigation aspect together with environmental quality, as the same actions can have different impacts along these different components. And also regarding the initiatives, normally cities join different initiatives at the same time. Going with an example from Romanian cities, for example, Cluj-Napoca is part of the Green City Accord, but it's also part of the Covenant of Mayors. It's also part of the city's mission.
Yeah.
So it is important that all the objectives that the cities propose throughout these initiatives kind of align with each other, so that they can work in a more integrative way, in a more efficient way, to reach these objectives, instead of like doing separate efforts and maybe not reaching the whole potential of the actions that they can have.
Yes, I agree. Very, very valid point, because it's also going on the other side. It's very easy to kind of like, split your efforts for like several, in several, like in several directions, several areas, right? And what are, do you have any other set of recommendations for European cities, and in their path towards this transition, like, towards like the green cities ideal?
Yeah. Also, I think that one idea that it's sometimes a bit misunderstood is the importance of green cities. It is not really something just nice to have, that something that we should try to get, but it's a must. In regards of green cities, we are also talking about the citizens' well-being, the citizens' health, and it is not something that should be compromised. It is something that local governments should try to ensure and to offer all their citizens. So it is not something that only advanced cities or cities that have the resources should strive for, but it's something that every single city in Europe should try to achieve.
Okay, understood. And this brings me to a very, very interesting point, right? Because this is something that we do struggle quite a bit, and this is also partly like my personal opinion, but because you said, okay, it's very important to communicate to the people, to everybody, like green cities are important. They're going towards like a must. They're not like, something something somewhere up in the air. It's a very fuzzy, nice thing to have. How can cities convey the importance of green transitions towards citizens and other stakeholders in the urban environment, right? Because this is for example, a particular issue that we do tend to have in Romania. I come from Bucharest, right? And I can also say I have some hardcore car friendly, like people, like friends that wouldn't give up their cars necessarily that easily. Right, a lot of Romanian citizens and a lot of people, and I don't think it's only like in Romania, but also like around in Europe, seem to be very critical, for example, of measures that restrict car usage in the urban environment, right? And how can local administrations overcome that? What can they communicate to their citizens in order to bring, to mobilize the forces, like the creative forces of everybody together, in order to accelerate the transition process?
First of all, I think that local governments should try to get more into a participative approach, to involve all the stakeholders, all the citizens into this development of the blueprint of what their green city should look like, so that there is this common understanding of what is the goal, what they would like to achieve, and how they would like to achieve it. So that it is more of a bottom-up kind of approach, not just the local government directly telling the citizens, you have to do this, and there's no other way around it. As well, I think there is also this need for compromise, because of course, being able to mobilize in your own car can be more comfortable, and can suit more your own purposes. So it's also a compromise from the citizen side to say, like, okay, I don't want to use the car because I know what the impacts are. So there is also the education component, that citizens understand what are all the implications and all the impacts from the actions that they are taking. But at the same time, there should be a compromise from the side of the local government, in the sense that if something is going to be required from the citizens, they should be able to facilitate them the opportunity to do it. For example, in this car situation, the local government should guarantee that if the citizen is not using their car, they will have other means of transportation, that the infrastructure for public transportation is well developed, that the infrastructure for walking or for biking or for other alternative kind of mobility is also guaranteed, so that they facilitate somehow this transition between what their current situation is and what the desired situation is. So it is a collaborative work
Yeah.
between the compromise of the citizens and the local authorities at the same time.
Yeah. Just to kind of like reiterate a bit, because I think that's a very important message, that we're trying to like to bring forward is actually, and from slightly from our discussion today, is first of all that like cities in general should strive to align their efforts, right, and to see, okay, what is the common goals behind, like, let's say, all the initiatives that they're, for example, joining, right, to see that they're in the end they're going towards the same long-term objective. When it comes, first of all, to like when it comes to mobilizing stakeholders in the urban environment, we said that, for example, the co-creation of the vision is very important, right? To make sure that you bring people together and everybody's able to identify with that vision of a green city, right? Or with that implementation transition process of a green city. But it's also important to kind of like compromise, yes, both as a city but also as an like as a citizen, and educate and make a citizen understand why it's important, right? For example, you should you could give up your car, right, because maybe it's more healthy, it also helps you, but it also helps the others around you. It's like in the end it's a win-win process, but if everybody is willing to compromise a bit. Yes, reiterating on the importance of the education process, but also what's very important, this facilitation of the behavior change, right? As you mentioned, right? So making sure that, yes, you do have expectations from citizens and urban stakeholders per se, but it also means you need to like provide them with the means necessary to perform that transition on their individual level, right? So these are kind of like points that we want to send forward, and I think we're slowly like approaching kind of like the end of this short and very sweet talk, right? But before we actually wrap this up, Karen, do you have any burning message that you would like to transmit to the ones tuning in today or watching this talk on our communication channels afterwards?
The main message, I guess, would be this importance of having green cities, as it is something that will increase the quality of life of all the citizens. So it is something that not only the local governments should promote, but also every single citizen should be able to also demand it, and to not only demand it, but to take action and to work towards it, because in the end it is something that will be beneficial for the whole community as itself, not only in terms of health, for the population, for human beings, but also in terms of environmental health, for all the resources that they use and that they are coexisting with. So I would guess that my final message would be that. And in case that you have more interest in the Green City Accord, we can facilitate the links so that you can read more about the initiative and get in contact with us in case that you have any questions.
Yes, of course. If you want to implement all the points that Karen has mentioned, then check out the Green City Accord and website. We actually posted the message for the ones watching in our comments, right, with the link. You can watch it afterwards. You can see where you find more details. Again, we encourage you to actually check it out, especially public administration officials and NGOs interested in the topic itself, right, to see. And I think it's very, very interesting to get in such a network. for us as a closing message, like I said, green cities, we believe like understanding green cities better, right? And then helping people and everybody educate on the idea of green cities, what it actually means, why is the transition towards green cities important, is a core component of like sustainable urban development. And this is why we wanted to present an initiative such as like the Green City Accord. Thank you very much for everybody tuning in today. Thank you once again. Yes, greencityaccord.eu. Thank you very much once again, Karen, for tuning in with us.
Thanks to
it was
you.
a pleasure. It was a pleasure to actually have you here and get to know your expertise a bit more on green cities, right? What they actually are, what are challenges, what are opportunities, and what are recommendations that you do have for a more holistic perspective, right? Because we're trying to integrate everything from the European to the more like local perspective. We will have several talks. We'll present even our projects, right? Because we're doing actually, I would say, something very interesting as well. We're combining, we're trying to develop like a green development strategy, right? That mobilizes and that uses participatory urbanism techniques and kind of like tries to use the input of citizens for 4 cities in Romania as well. Right, we're trying to bring together positive energies in order to facilitate and accelerate that green transition process as well. We're going to talk more about that as well in the near future. But other than that, thank you very much for tuning in, listening to us. For the ones who listened today, I hope you got something out of it. And for the ones that are going to tune in later, you can find this talk on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on our YouTube as well. And see you actually next time, urbanizers. Thank you very much. Goodbye.